Hello everyone. Yes, today I'm going to talk about the description of consonant sounds or descriptions of the consonant sounds. There are classifications, which there are three classifications of the any given consonant sounds in any given language, which is the voicing, place of articulation, and manner of articulation. But today we are going to talk about the descriptions or the seven descriptions of the consonant sounds or any given consonant sounds. Number one is that the Airstream mechanism. And we all know that there are three types of Airstream mechanism according to the speaking of any given language. Our language, especially the well-known spoken languages like Russian, English, Arabic, and so on and so forth. These languages are works like this. When we breathe, the main job for our breathing is that we oxygenate our blood. But the secondary job for our breathing is that we breathe to speak. So the airstream is actually the trigger of our speaking. So when we breathe, we fill our lungs. There are some parts works to empty the lungs to make us speak and make our sounds actually hearable. We can hear them, audible. Sorry, audible. So when we fill our lungs, the diaphragm looms and looms try to empty the lungs, and with the intercostal muscles, the muscles between our ribs. These muscles and the diaphragm try to empty the lungs and make the airstream goes to our vocals to try to speak. If this airstream is not if it's stopped in our vocal cavities and nasal cavities, so then the sound is a consonant, like we said before. If it's not stoppable, so it's valid. But here we are talking about the airstream mechanism. This mechanism is known as glottonic. This mechanism known as pulmonic airstream mechanism. Pulmonic means that this mechanism works with the lungs. Like I said before, is that we fill our lungs with the air, then this diaphragm and intercostal muscles try to empty that to make us speak. So the secondary job for our breathing is actually to speak. So the airstream mechanism for Arabic, English, and Russian and French, Spanish, and so as Chinese, Mandarin, Japanese, the airstream is pulmonic. Pulmonic is that means that with our lungs. There are different types of the airstream mechanism, like velaric. Velaric means that the velum or the soft part of the roof of our mouth, this velum or the back of the tongue goes to the velum. From here starts the to breathe the air and come back and speak from the back of the tongue and the velum. These languages are very rare, and we have also the glottonic airstream mechanism. It means that with the glottal, okay, these are the airstream mechanism, but the well known is pulmonic. So Arabic and English are pulmonic airstream mechanism languages. And number two is that the airstream, this airstream is ingressive or aggressive. Ingressive or aggressive. So if it is why we speak in the air is in, so this called airstream, pulmonic airstream, ingressive pulmonic airstream mechanism. When we breathe, these some languages are uh, been you are using this kind of mechanism, but the well-known spoken languages are working with the aggressive. Aggressive means that the air is going out of our lungs. especially there are some kind of non-linguistic situations, like when we are sobbing. Sob means that we are trying to speak like this, and we speak while we are crying. So this is called the ingressive. So number two is ingressive. Number three is that the state of the glottis. We know that the glottis is not found in the medical box or something like this, but is phoneticians call name that it's the glottis. Is that this area in our vocal folders, if it's closed or it's opened or it's vibrating, closes and opens in with fast to make the larynx vibrate. There's five states: wild open, which is with the breathing, and nearly open with the voiceless sounds like s and f, and the whispered state when we whisper, and the closed one with the plosive sounds. So in linguistic states, actually, the open with the voiceless sounds, and whispered when we whisper, and the closed one with the plosives and voiced sounds, closed and opened with the speed to make the larynx vibrate. So number three is the glottis. Number four is the state of the velum. The state of the velum. The state of the velum, and we'll know that the velum, or the soft part of our roof, the roof of the mouth, our roof of the mouth, is soft and it is movable. It's up and down. If it's lowered, the air goes to the nasal cavity, like and there are nasals because the velum is lowered. If it's raised, then the sound is oral, and the other sounds like and these three are the velum is lowered, but with the other sounds is oral, then the velum is raised. They call it the velic closure. The velic closure, if it's oral sounds, is the velic closure. If it's not, or nasal sound, then there is no velic closure. It means that the velum is lowered. This, the state of the velum, two states. If it's lowered, nasal cavity, nasal sounds, and the air goes to the nasal cavity. If it's raised, then the sound is oral, and so on and so forth. So number four is the state of the velum. Number five is that the passive articulators. We know all, and we all know that the passive articulators are our above jaw, like, and we name them upper teeth set, upper lip, and alveolar ridge, post alveolar or palatal alveolar, and palatal and palat, sorry, and velum and uvula, and the back wall of the pharynx. All of these are the past. All of these actually are the passive articulators. And the number six is the is the active articulator, which means that all of them are in the lower jaw, and we divided them a lower lip, lower teeth set, and we divided the tongue into five: tip and blade. They are according to the phonetician levels, it's the same: tip and a blade. And we have a front of the tongue, back of the tongue, and the root of the tongue, and we all know how they behave and how they go. Tip or blade, lower lip sometimes go to the upper lip, like b, m, and but lower lip sometimes go to the upper teeth set, like f and v, and we name them displaced articulators or articulation. So, and we have the temporal blade of the tongue goes actually to the upper teeth set, and the alveolar bridge to the post alveolar, and then the front goes to the palate, and the back goes to the velum, and the root goes to the back wall of the pharynx. So these are the number 6 of the description. And number 7 is the structure of these articulators. So the nature how this airstream goes between the active articulators and passive articulators. How it goes. If it is friction, it's a fricative. If it's complete closure and sudden release, then it's a stop or plosive, and so on and so forth. And we talk about the manner of articulation, so we know it is. So the nature of the structure, it means that the manner of articulations or how the airstream goes between the active articulator and passive articulator. These are the 7 descriptions. Number 1, the airstream mechanism. For example, if it's English, it means that Arabic pulmonic airstream mechanism. Is it ingressive or egressive? It is egressive when we know. Number 2, it is ingressive or egressive. The English is egressive. Number 3, the state of the glottis. So we know the voiceless sounds and voiced sounds, and okay. And number 4, that's the state of the velum. If it's lowered, then the sound is nasal. If it is raised, then the sound is oral. Number 5, sorry, the passive articulators, and we all learned about these in the previous videos. And number 6 is the active articulators, and we know all about the videos, especially the video that we have talking about the biggest part in our articulators, which is the inactive ones, which is the tongue, and we divided it into 5 parts, and we have the gesture or the manner of articulation, the nature of the gesture. Thank you for listening, guys. These are the 7 criteria. These are the 7 descriptions of the any given consonant sound. Thank you, guys.